Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Daniel Ferri and I'm a tech at Arrowsmith Bikes in Nanaimo. I'm gonna be doing a video series where I'm gonna explain how to service some different components, and between all of that there will be some riding. It is kind of the perfect time now. It's winter. It's kind of the perfect time to service your bike. It's probably -7 or -6. I know it's not as cold as other parts in Canada, but trust me, -6, -7 for Nanaimo standards is pretty cold. Actually, I'm actually kind of cold. I'm gonna go inside. We're gonna be doing a full service on my rear shock on my DH rig. It looks like this. It's got some gentle jumps on it. So now after full summer, it's time for a full service, and I'm gonna be walking you through the entire process on how to service an X2. We're also gonna be using the vacuum machine from Andreani. You know that it's time for a service when your shock starts sounding like this. Freedom. All right. When servicing a shock, I do like to have my bench fully organized with all the tools that I need for the job. And of course, we got a new service kit. All right, let's get started. So my damper likely failed due to piston cavitation or some pressure leaked out from the IFP, causing the damper oil to boil under compression and extension. So cavitation is essentially the vapor phase of a liquid under reduced or negative pressure while a constant temperature, which literally, in simpler words, means that the fluid can start to boil when it's subjected to a vacuum. In this case, the oil in the damper is trying to separate itself from the piston surface, creating a vacuum pocket in which the fluid can start to boil, creating more air molecules. So right now I'm just disassembling the air sleeve, and after that we'll take apart the lower air cap, which will get us to the main seal head. Okay, yep. There's quite a lot of pressure in the damper, so we're gonna release all of that now. For that, I like to use the bleed hole of the shock. And you can see all the air coming out. Let me show you really. See all the air? You don't want that in your oil. Has to complete. I'm actually saved my shirt. All right, we're at the point where I took apart the damper assembly. This is the main piston. So this one is responsible mostly for rebound adjusting, but the piston also has a fixed shim assembly for the compression, but that's static damping. So what that means is something that cannot be adjusted dynamically by external adjusters. But for now, we're just gonna take out the tube. Now we're gonna remove the IFP by using this really cool tool. And dump the rest of the oil. And here you have the IFP. This is all there is in the IFP. There you have it. I removed currently the high and low speed compression assembly. You can see it's this little guy here. So I can dig very deep onto how this one works, but that might be for a future video. Let me know if you want it. Well, this one is the rebound assembly, and therefore is much more simpler than a stag that has to do two jobs. This one has to control low and high speed of the fluid, while this one only has to control low speed of the fluid. Therefore is much more simpler. All right, once you're done disassembly, it should look kind of like this. You have your main shaft here, compression and rebound assembly. you have the main damper body plus the piggyback. We're not gonna take the damper body out of the shock body because there is no need to in this case. That's an operation only required if your need is to replace the stanchion, the damper body in this case, because of some scratch or other issues that you're having with sealing between the damper body and the main shock body. IFP, main seal head, and this is the lower cap with the bumper stop, and whoops, and the main air can. All right, we have now the shock completely apart right now. Now we're gonna replace all the seals, and then we're gonna go to the vacuum bleeding process. This part could be a little boring, so I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. I'm now at the point of reassembling the shock, and this one is a twin tube design. So what is twin tube? Twin tube basically means that a piston, the main piston, doesn't glide along the surface of the main damper body. It glides inside of a second sleeve, which is this one. I don't know if you can see it. This one here, see this gray one? This one is a second cylinder inside of the main damper body. Monotube design versus twin tube design, they both have their pros and cons, which I'm not going to explain in this video because I don't want to get too much into technical details for now, but you might be able to see it in a future video. Now that the shock is reassembled, I'm going to go through the vacuum bleeding process, and this one is done through this machine. I will reinstall the bleed fitting. I'm just going to connect the machine. It's a little hard to do it with single hand. There you go. And start the cycle. So now the machine is gonna start emptying the shock, and then it's gonna start pull vacuum. It'll hold the vacuum for a minute or two, and then it's gonna start filling the shock back with oil. The machine has now finished its bleeding process. I now only have to set the IFP height with the machine still connected. I already have the IFP measuring tool set at 1.14 inches, which is the depth required by the shock. I'm just gonna gently squeeze here, and there you go. Now we're gonna disconnect the machine. And our shock should be fully bled and good to go now. Now we're gonna go through the to the IFP charging procedure. Now we're just gently gonna pull on the cap, make sure it's nice and square. Put the valve core in. Now it's time to pressurize the IFP. For that, I'm gonna use nitrogen. Just this bottle right here. Anyway, the Float X2 does not require nitrogen, but I'm gonna use it anyway because we have it. Why not? It is more stable at varying temperatures. Nitrogen is the same gas that the airplane tires are filled with, and unlike any other gases, it doesn't have the same expansion ratio of, like, let's say, oxygen or normal air, and so on. And now I'm just gonna gently pressurize this guy. We have 150 psi in this case. It's slightly more. I just like to run higher pressure in my shock and my shock IFP to lessen the chance of cavitation. Okay, everything feels nice and solid. It's gonna cap the valve. Perfect. And now the fun part of the hand testing the shock. Just this one right here. This is a manual shock tester. basically put one end of the shock right here, and then you have either a trunnion mount or just a regular mounted shock, regular eyelet. Put one end there. Let's remove the trunnion. This one is a very long shock. The YT2s has the longest shock available on the market. So it's requiring the entire length of the whole of the machine. I don't hear any noise, any particular noise on the shock while cycling it. So I'm gonna call this one really good. All right, once you finished it, remove the shock. And now we can reassemble the air can. I installed the hardware on the top and the bottom eyelet, and now it goes back on a bike.